I think that women and men living in the suburbs who fulfilled their American dream, or at least got a big part of it, they now live in a safe, beautiful area. They don't want to have people coming in and forcing low-income housing down their throats. This has been a hot issue before President Obama, but he took it to a new level, and Biden is going to take it to yet another level. In fact, they say that Cory Booker, there's another beauty, that Cory Booker is involved. And if Cory Booker's involved, nothing good is going to happen.
What? Why is he picking on Cory, calling him another beauty? Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey joins us now, along with professor at Princeton University, Eddie Glaude Jr. Cory, what's the deal? What's going on there?
I don't know, and it's a fruitless odyssey to try to understand our president's mind, but I do think it sounds like his normal tools in his toolbox, the only ones we've seen that he leads with, which is bigotry, fear-mongering, and in many ways trying to pit Americans against Americans. Remember, from the very beginning, coming down that elevator, he went right to racial tropes, talking about Mexicans and Muslims, and he has not changed his way. And so at the end of the day, I am not focused on him, I'm focused on us. And I'm really excited about the America and the American spirit and energy and values that we can make manifest if we come together and work together despite people like him that are trying to divide us.
Senator Booker, it's Willie Geist. Good to see you this morning. I want to pick up on that point. You've talked about trying to bring back some what you call civic grace to politics and to our country. I'm curious about how you do that, and I'm sure you'll address some of that tonight in your address, or tomorrow night in your address. And I wonder how you do that right now, because I think at a time in the past, a Democrat might say, well, I disagree with George W. Bush, or I disagree with Mitt Romney or John McCain, but I understand them, and they have the best interest of the country in mind, generally speaking, and their supporters are many of my friends. There does seem to be a different feeling in the country right now in terms of that divide along the Trump line, if you want to call it that. So how do you introduce civic grace back into the conversation?
Well, I think there's two parts of this. First of all, we have to get out of this lie that we tell ourselves that somehow on big issues, there's a lot of difference. And I know there are some issues that divide America, like abortion rights, but you just pick healthcare last night that we talked about in the Democratic Convention. You poll the Affordable Care Act and the principles and pillars of policy in it. They're wildly popular on both sides of the aisle. But you call it Obamacare, somebody that large portions of our population have been demonized around, you see the polling drop. And if you start looking at issues from common sense gun safety all the way to what I think is the ending of the drug war and marijuana justice, you see it's popular on both sides of the aisle. But yet the way we've personalized our politics, the way we've demonized each other, the way that we talk about the humanity or lack thereof, we dehumanize folks, is really the core of the problem. So how do we change that? Is we don't look for one leader to do it. We all have to take responsibility for showing that grace and trying to live, as John Lewis called us to do, to create in the creation of a more beloved community. So I'm optimistic, or I should say, as my professor Eddie Glaude taught me, I'm a prisoner of hope. Because hope works, it's a muscle, hope fights, and hope keeps going. But we are not going to make it. And this may sound very dramatic, but I really worry about the 50 years from now or 100 years from now in our country if we can't find ways of putting indivisible into this one nation under God. I see the intelligence reports. I see you almost see glee jumping from the pages as adversaries like Russia who go onto our social media platforms and continue to try to stir up hate in this country because they know that ultimately that's the weakness that they can exploit to stop us from doing big things, doing great things, and moving our nation forward.
Eddie Glaude. Oh, got to get some audio. Oh, I got a little microphone problem with Eddie Glaude. It's great because we have Claire McCaskill here, so we can jump to Claire next. Claire?
Corey, I know that the speeches so far have been like chicken soup for you because they have been about decency and warmth. And I have said earlier in the program how much I loved the elevator operator talking about Joe Biden's heart having room in it for someone besides himself. And all of those things are echoes of what you based your campaign on. How do you think it's going so far? And my second question that I want to throw in here, in case you want to do it, one of the things that they were sharing polling information with Russia was to try to track Jill Stein's numbers in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. So they wanted Russia to help out building up Jill Stein's numbers. In my opinion, that's what happened. Do you fear they're going to do the same thing with Kanye in those states where he might make the ballot, particularly someplace like Wisconsin?
So first of all, I just want to say there's a saying by a great humorist, Dave Barry, who says, someone who is nice to you but not nice to the waiter is not a nice person. And you and I both know the truth of that we get to see when we were in the Senate how people are when the cameras are rolling and how they are to the people who are serving you in the caucus lunches. And so I know who Joe is because I got a chance to watch him on the campaign trail. And some of my favorite moments were the behind the scenes moments where you watch each candidate going through their rituals or doing their things. And Joe was putting his arm around people, not just the candidates, but talking to the people who are working backstage, who are getting things done. And I really believe character matters in that spirit. Now, look, the insidiousness or the dark forces at work in this election that are counter to the values I think this nation aspires to. This idea that we can only win this election if we somehow restrict access to the polls, tear down the post office, pull out polling places, or if we try to gin up someone like Kanye West. It's really unfortunate, but I'm sorry. That is just not going to work in this election. I really think it's insulting to the intelligence of African Americans, for example, to think that we're going to somehow be swayed away and vote for someone who is not a serious person in this election. And so I'm aware of this and I've had conversations with a lot of folks who are working in grassroots turnout, particularly in minority communities. But there's something like I've never seen before right now is that people are really ticked off and angry. And the racial politics and racism of this person, and also the fact that he is doing things like you said at the top of the show, literally thinks by invoking the name of a black politician that somehow you can scare white people is both angering to the black community and the white community. And one of the reasons I love Twitter is because I was reading Twitter and the humor was great as people were saying, please, Corey, move into my neighborhood because I know you'll shovel my driveway. So this is a time that America is going to resoundingly reject these streams of bigotry and hate or the dirty tricks. And I just have a lot of faith for the future.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.